Hello, and welcome to Rainy Tuesdays, a podcast by friends for friends. I'm here with only Margaux this week, unfortunately,
Hello.
due to scheduling conflicts and the nightmare it was to even record this. But here we are doing a Mother's Day episode. So it's not Mother's Day,
Sorry,
so
moms.
kind of generically Mom Appreciation Podcast.
Yeah, so Mother's Day was earlier this year.
Mother's Day was, in fact, earlier this year, and we asked our respective moms to answer a bunch of questions, which they did very thoroughly. Thank you, moms.
Yes.
And then we never did a podcast about it. But we are rectifying that now.
Alternatively, it's now a surprise because
True.
maybe they thought we were never going to do it.
Surprise present.
And then gotcha. We did it.
You thought you answered all those questions for nothing? No.
There was
Here it is.
Yeah.
Even better if you don't release this until like
next Mother's Day. They have assuredly forgotten about it, and so have we. Oh my god!
You just stumble through your files and you're like, Mother's Day episode.
Oh, right. Perfect. Oh man. Well, we love our moms.
We do love our moms.
Yeah. Oh my god. What were you gonna say?
Oh, I'm big into like file management. So multiple times I've like gone through my files and be like, what can I clean up? And I'll see this Mother's Day questionnaire that my mom filled out, and I'm like, oh yeah.
Not yet. Not until we use that. I go through my files and I still have ready to be printed out the next time I see you a full-on degree for your graduation. That is sitting on my computer.
Wait, I thought you sent me that though.
Did I?
I mean, I didn't get a print, not printed, but I thought you sent me the image of the degree you made for me.
Maybe I did, because maybe I thought I was like never gonna see you in person again, and like really sad about that. And I was like, well, I guess you should just have it. Well, it's still on my computer, ready to print out. Yeah, I have
that
hope.
Too. I'll completely forget about that. So if we do ever see each other in person again, which,
you'll be like, whoa,
oh
my god.
Yeah, you should just be like,
I'll give you that and a tiddlywink set, and it'll be wonderful. Oh my god. Yeah, so we asked our moms a bunch of questions, and we're gonna go through their answers and see what they said about things. Some of them will probably also maybe give answers to, see how like we feel about them. I don't know. We'll see. So the first question was, what was life for you at our age? Do you want to start?
So I realized an immediate problem with the fact that I'm recording my screen for the video version of this podcast, which you can check out on YouTube and Spotify probably.
Yeah.
So I'm pulling it up on my phone. So give me one second.
Okay, fair enough.
So you can go first.
Okay. My mother was a passionate women's rights activist. She still is. A graphic designer. She was working her way through school and planning a PhD in sociology, specifically in New York City, while also going to as many live music events as she possibly could. So she was, cool. She still is cool, and also still does a lot of that. Like, she loves live music still. I have definitely gotten that from her. I think it's just fun. It's just like such a good vibe, even if it's just like a local band that you're like just seeing one time and you don't really even know their name, kind of thing. It's like cool. It's fun. It's a good vibe. I would never want to live in New York City though. I don't also picture her in New York City.
It does seem knowing you and that you've only lived in pretty rural areas. Like relatively.
I've lived in like smaller cities.
Relative to like New York, I guess. Yes. I suppose you did live in a few cities.
Like our college was in a smaller city, and I would say that's about the size of the cities I've lived in. So like smaller things. Yeah. Never big cities, and I would prefer it that way. I like cities. I have lived in rural areas where it's like the closest like Target is like 45 minutes away. And that's not ideal. It's so hard to get things.
Yeah, that sounds terrible. I
Yeah.
lived a privileged life where everything I could ever want or need is
Is a quick drive
within,
away.
within like a
Yeah.
20-minute drive max.
Mhm. Yeah, so I think that's my preference is a smaller city slash at least a big enough town that you can like get to places easily.
The
Um
Chicago suburbs are perfect for that.
anyway, my mom has also lived in smaller cities. And like I think she would like the vibe of New York City could work for her, but I just feel like I don't know. I feel like she also likes like farmers markets too much. Um Not that they don't have those in New York, but just that I feel like they're not the same.
Not that, so I, my girlfriend was just here for Labor Day weekend,
Uh-huh.
and we went to the farmers market here in Des Moines.
Love it.
And not that Des Moines is a big city by any
Right.
means, but it was a really great farmers market.
Yeah.
So maybe a different situation than say like New York, but
Well, that's the thing is
it's
smaller
still a
cities
city.
still have like places around them that have farms, and so you can still have a good farmers market.
Yeah.
You have to go far for a farm in New York City. Like,
Although, isn't a lot of northern New York still farmland?
yeah, that's true for any state, but it's still gonna be like a trek. Like you're gonna have to like I don't know. My vision of New York City is just that it's only people like yelling at each other. Maybe this is my like bias against New York City showing.
I do think of New York City as pretty isolated from the rest of the state as well,
Yeah.
given that it's like an island, not
Uh-huh.
entirely, but partly an island, like on the very tip. We're like,
Right.
well, that's almost its own separate thing, and then you have the
Yeah.
rest of the state.
Mhm. It's a big state though.
It is.
Yeah. Um Sociology is cool though, where she said she wanted to have a PhD in it. Um I don't know if you feel the same way or not, but I feel like psychology and sociology are the same way that like geometry and algebra or biology and chemistry were, where it's like close and like similar fields, but like people tend to prefer one over the other.
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
that's a fairly adequate description. I don't know if I'd really equate biology and well, actually, a lot of my friends are
Like I feel like that was like the high
biochemistry
school
majors,
ones.
so
Yeah.
but yeah, I actually have a friend that was a psychology major and then swapped to sociology her final year, and
Okay,
so
very
did like
cool.
an entire sociology degree on
Oh
the
my god.
back of of what psychology credit she had already gotten
Oh my
all in her
god.
last year. So to me, they're very similar because she was able to do that,
Well,
and
yeah,
she did
because
not need to take like extra classes really because she had
I
all
feel
the
like it's like
basics.
two sides of a coin kind of thing where it's like inside one person versus like lots of people together.
Mhm.
Um, it's very cool. I do prefer sociology because psychology kind of freaks me out sometimes. I feel like it's like my brain becoming too self-aware of like it being a brain rather than like a person.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I think I might like psychology, one, because I feel like sociology is very depressing.
Oh yeah, for sure. But like so
Um,
is poli sci and philosophy, so like I'm used to that.
yeah, I don't know. Sociology is, to me, having never
Mhm.
taken a sociology class, is very much like this is a current problem facing lots of people in the world around you,
And it's
and
only getting
it's
worse.
only getting worse, and no one cares,
Yeah.
and now you care, and no one else will, and you can't
Mhm.
do anything about
It's a burden, yeah.
it.
Okay, so tell me about your mom and her age.
Yeah, not as detailed on this one, but my
Fair.
mom was living right outside the city of Chicago in an apartment, independent from her parents. She grew up in a rural area, rural Michigan. Um,
Okay,
so she talked about how she was adjusting to living in a large urban area, and
sure.
she worked for a vocational rehab agency.
Oh,
Um,
okay. That's very cool. What all like would that entail if you know? If you know, that's okay. Um,
so she has definitely told me, but she has had a couple like she worked a few different social working type jobs in a row.
right.
But I think in particular this one, and if my mom listens, she'll probably correct me, but I believe it was um, disadvantaged clients with particularly mental conditions,
Oh
and
yeah.
helping them seek employment and dealing with their employers and like accommodations and stuff.
Okay, very cool. I like that a lot. That's really cool. Social work is like tough, like
Yeah.
emotionally.
Yes.
Like that takes a very like kind person to go into that.
Yeah. She's talked a lot about how much it burnt her out very
Very,
quickly,
yeah.
so that when I was born, she then quit and then she became stay-at-home mom for
Fair.
me and my siblings because it was just too much to go back to.
Oh my god, I bet. And like having children on top of that, and like, because you kind of gotta do similar stuff for your children anyway, where you're like helping them become people and like emotionally adjust to life. And like that on top of social work would be insane. Um,
Yeah, she might
yeah.
talk about this here, but I was a troubled child
Oh,
medically in like my
yeah.
first year. So
Fair.
having like a very intense
First kid.
first kid with a lot of
Yeah.
medical issues and needing a lot of care
Hmm.
uh, would have been impossible doing
Yeah,
that, in
absolutely.
addition to an extremely difficult, tiring, and draining social work job.
Right. 100%.
But
Okay,
her
so
experiences have made me absolutely not want to do family law in any way, shape, or form.
yeah.
Which I know is, I don't know if you even want to do law anymore, but was something you said you were
See?
interested in. So
Family law, it's one of those things where it's like I didn't necessarily want to do family law. I wanted to just like be very niche in family law and like maybe only deal with like divorces and parenting plans, which is like a thing you can do without like having to get into the like nitty gritty kind of thing. And I didn't know if that would be like necessarily mediation or like possibly just taking no child cases, like just doing divorces pre children kind of thing. Um, yeah, it was like the more and more that I worked in the family court through college, it was like, okay, so it just gets sad. It's just sad all the
yeah,
time.
sad all
Yeah.
the time, and it's kids who are affected very badly.
And like you have to, it's tough because like the court can't necessarily care about that um while simultaneously trying to find the best situation for the kid. um
Hmm.
it's a lot. It's a fucked up system, as is most of America, so we don't need to get into that.
We don't need a
Speaking about
play-by-play about everything wrong with America.
A, B, C, we're gonna have to come up with more than Z.
So get into like triple or double A and
Yeah.
triple, yeah.
But speaking of jobs, what was your mother's dream job growing up?
So she lists a couple.
Okay.
Flight attendant. She considered
Ooh,
being or wanted to be a banker, which my grandfather was a banker, so that's
okay.
why.
Gotcha.
Um, a veterinarian because she loved
Mhm.
animals, but particularly she talks about this in her little questionnaire. But then she's also told us kids a lot that she really wanted to be an activities director on a cruise.
Okay,
Um,
that's so fun.
Particularly, there was a show that I don't know about called Love Boat, and a character,
Mhm.
Julie McCoy, that was her job, and so she wanted to be like that character and be a activities
Very
director
cool.
on a cruise,
I
um,
love that.
which does sound like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I think she did pursue it. Now I'm just off memory because it's not in the questionnaire, but I believe she
Sure.
did pursue it. But they really need people who speak multiple languages,
That makes
um,
sense. Yeah.
and it would be kind of intensive. Of like, and now you're gone for 8 months.
Yeah, and cruises are icky. I know that wasn't one of the reasons, but they're icky.
Yeah, I don't think that was one of her
Oh.
considerations, but I do know that yeah, cruises are not great. You get paid pretty badly. Um,
And it's icky.
I know a lot of cruises do kind of sketchy stuff with where their company is located so that they can get
Yeah.
around various employee regulations.
Care. Yeah. It's tough. Yeah, I had or still have. He's still around. I have a friend who was like considering it. like last year, but then like with COVID and with like the significant number of people who just immediately get COVID on cruises, he was like, maybe
Yes.
I'll wait.
Sort of a
Maybe I'll
bad
wait on
time.
that. Yeah. Oh my god. But it's a great way to like travel.
Yeah.
So is flight attendant.
Yeah.
So very cool things. Um my mom wanted to be a writer or a professor. Very fair. She's done both now. So
Oh,
she
so
nailed
she
those
achieved
parts.
her dream
Yeah.
job.
um and singer, but she did say for that one, okay, I want to read her exact wording for that one. So she said, and a singer, but for that one, let's say sounding like a squashed squeak toy might make it unlikely. Which, yeah, my mother does not have the best singing voice, which is like a shame because she's like very musically talented in the sense of she can play piano and like she knows how to like keep a beat really well, but yeah, she cannot sing. Something we've known all our life. um, yeah. Um, okay. So now we get into the juicy things.
Yeah.
Um,
Margaux, what is something that you did as a kid that really annoyed your mom?
um, I blame my mom for this. Inherently. But she said that the funniest thing was when I would try to like out stubborn her, which my mother is a very stubborn woman, and so she raised me to also be a very stubborn woman. And so we can kind of clash with that if there's a disagreement. Um, but then um, the one that she said annoyed her the most was I got really upset when the toys at like Target were out of order. So she had to wait while I reorganized all of them. Um,
God, that sounds like something I would do.
I'd be like, no, 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 we cannot leave this aisle. I have to make sure it looks perfect.
That does really annoy me in this. I mean, toy stores because of kids. You get that a
Yeah.
lot. But
Mhm.
when shelves are obviously incredibly disorganized, and you're like, oh, but there's a better way to do this.
Yeah. Senior year of high school, I worked at a grocery store and I hated being a cashier. And so I worked it out with them so that they could, like, I was like one of the stocking people,
Oh, that sounds
which I
like a
fucking
blast.
loved. It was so much fun because all I did was just organize shelves all day. It was great. It was wonderful.
Truly, I think I could do that as a career.
Genuinely, I like you just pop in some earphones and
Yeah,
just organize shelves, and it was the greatest minimum wage job I have ever had.
I would love that.
Mhm.
If I don't know if you have to interact with customers, but
Occasionally they'll be like, "Hey, what aisle is this thingy on?" And I'll be like, I just stocked that. It's right over there."
that actually is a good point. I feel like
Yeah.
sometimes I don't ever ask employees anything because
Mhm.
I won't. I don't want to bother them. But um, when I see people do, I always wonder that if I was an employee, because I've
Mhm.
in the various jobs I've worked, I feel like I know extraordinarily little about what I'm doing. Um,
Sure.
and if someone's like, "Hey, where's this?" I'd just be like, "Uh." But if
Right.
you're a stalker, then yeah, you
You
absolutely do know
know.
where everything is.
And, like, I remember the first few shifts I had, if I, like, didn't know where something was, I'd be like, "Let's go find it. I don't know. I don't have to be here, like, in this exact place. I can be like, I was helping a customer. Like, let's go on a little adventure." It was great. It was fun. And it also helped me stock later. But, yeah, a good time. So what was annoying about you, Adam?
So I do not remember this. Well, first, she prefaced it by saying that I was a very sweet, happy child who was loving,
Oh,
smart, and easygoing.
that's really nice.
But apparently, once I got older in seventh grade, I was very moody, distant, very
Sure.
sarcastic, a lot of eye rolls,
Mhm.
very frustrated at life, and apparently, very often I would stomp up the stairs and slam my door. Um, she, in all caps, writes all the time. I did this so much so that my dad considered taking my door off his hinges. Apparently.
Oh my
Um,
god.
I don't remember doing this at all. But sorry, parents, that does sound awful.
I cannot picture you, like, rudely rolling your eyes. Like, I've seen you roll your eyes in, like, an "Oh my god" sort of way, but never like a "This guy" kind of
Yeah,
thing.
I don't know. I feel like this. drama,
Uh-huh.
sarcasm,
It's very
moody
7th
Adam
grade.
has morphed into just kind of the funny kind of sarcasm. Because I feel like I roll
Right.
my eyes all the time, but in
Sure.
a humorous or
Right.
isn't this person being annoying way.
Yeah. Not like never snarky.
Yeah.
But
Maybe
no,
maybe some
I
people disagree. I don't know. But I
um that's genuinely so fun though. Hang on. Okay, we do have a question on it later, but I just want to know more about Teenage Adam. Um so we'll get to that in a little bit. Um so we have what was your favorite travel story?
so my family's traveled a lot. So
Mhm.
um this is a very long answer. And so
Fair.
sorry, Mom, I will skim it. Um she just generally talks about how like we've been to some really beautiful places. I guess this is not somewhere I have been, but
Mhm.
she went swimming in the bioluminescence in Jamaica, which I've seen
Okay,
a bunch
so
of
cool.
TikToks on that, and that sounds
Sure.
incredible.
Yeah.
Um, um, oh, here we go. One funny story is when my brother and I were young, we were in North Carolina. We had these walkie-talkie things,
Mhm.
and wanted to talk to my dad, who was still in the condo. And my
Lovely.
younger brother was only like a year and a half. And
Uh-huh.
he just kind of went bah, 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 into the walkie talkie and then dropped it into the water. Um, and um, in a related story, then a different time, we were also on a lake and we had these little play fishing rods. And
Okay, yeah.
being a young child, I uh, cast the pole and just kind of dropped it in the water. Um, and younger me got very sad and cried and asked if we could
Oh.
call my uncle, who's scuba certified, to come and dive and find it.
That's so cute.
And then my mom goes
Oh
on to
my
say,
god.
then we saw a seaplane, and young me was sure that was my uncle swooping in to save the day.
Oh my god. Precious. Jeez. I love that you guys just threw so many things in water.
We were around water a lot. Both my sets of grandparents had boats at the time when we were growing up,
Okay.
so
Yeah, yeah,
we
yeah.
were on water very, very frequently.
Very fair. Perhaps contributing to my fear of water, I was never like a beach baby. We were very much like spring break in the mountains kind of people. Um,
Which
and it's lovely.
is my preferred vacation
Yeah.
now. I mean, I like boating, but I don't like beaches.
Fair.
So
Yeah. No, that's understandable. Mountains are great though. And we'll hike.
mountains are
Cute
great.
little time. Yeah.
One
Um,
of the ones she said was North Carolina mountains.
oh,
I guess
what's
we've been to North
up?
Carolina multiple times
Fair.
because the one with my younger brother. But yeah,
Love that
great.
though. Shout out to North Carolina mountains. Okay, so my mom's was when she went to Paris. She discovered that the Museum of the Armies had is it armies or like is it armies? I don't know.
I don't know.
Um, it reads like multiple armies, unless I'm horribly pronouncing that, and that's like actually a French word because it is in Paris,
It
which it
might be a
probably
French
is.
word.
I'm gonna say Museum of the Armies.
Did you didn't take French in high school? We definitely
No,
talked
I
about
took
this before.
German.
Sure.
I that was my teenage rebellion.
That's odd because French in my high school was like people, "Oh, I'm going to do something different. Look how unique I am. I'm taking
Oh,
French."
I guess it was in mine too. We had Spanish, French, German, and Latin.
Oh, jeez.
Um,
We only had
and
Spanish and French.
Fair. Spanish was the big one, obviously, because it's the one that makes the most sense to take.
Yeah.
French was like the artsy, like we're so special kids.
Yep. That's how it
And
was for us.
and German was like 9 nerds. It was just 9 of us. And Latin had like maybe, I don't know, 10 people. And it was just like it was people who had already gone through the other languages and were like, "I
Mm,
want an extra language." Those were people who really liked language. But yeah,
yeah.
German was just I it was like 3 girls, 6 boys. All of us were very nerdy. And I think most everyone except for me has like a STEM degree of some sort now. Um, so
I've heard
it
that's
makes
actually
sense.
very,
Yeah,
especially for
German's great for
engineering.
STEM.
That's really
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
hmm but anyway, it's not German, so I'm gonna say armies. Had a basement exhibit focused on World War II. She had already told my uncles because she went with them that she would be out in like a few. Um, because my uncles don't love history. They're very much like touristy people, but not like let me learn about the history of this place. Well, my mom is like a historian, so she
Yeah.
loves that. And so um, she eventually came out of the museum and was a bit frantic because she thought that they had gotten lost in Paris. Um, and eventually they found each other, but it was good. Um, yeah. So basically, she just spent a lot of time in a World War II museum, which is very on brand for her. So, yeah.
Sounds fun. That's so when my family would go on vacations, we would go
Mhm.
to kind of like pretty places, but the undercurrent of all of it was it had to be some kind of educational historical experience.
Right.
So into like Colonial Williamsburg, as like
Mhm.
an obvious history thing. But then we would go to places like North Carolina. We'd go to like the Trail of Tears Museum and stuff like that. So there's always like, and here's our museum day. We're gonna learn some stuff.
Yeah.
Like even we took like a Disney World vacation and we went to Cape Canaveral,
Right.
uh, which I think is now I'm second guessing myself, but I'm pretty sure that's the NASA base in Florida. But to learn about that kind of stuff, so like
Right.
always had to have something historical slash learning.
I like that. I kind of had that because both my parents were very into history. Um, but then like both of them did specifically have an interest in the Battle of Gettysburg for various reasons. So most of my summers as a child were spent in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, which is
Lame.
yep, it's real lame.
Having also been to
Um,
Gettysburg
it's
various
not worth
times,
a summer.
would not recommend.
Maybe 3 days.
We've
Maybe.
we've always done it. Well, no, yeah, we've always done it as like we're passing through the area, so
Yep.
we'll stop by Gettysburg for a night or two
Yep.
as we move somewhere else
That's
because it's
about all you can
not
find
worth
interest in.
not worth staying there longer.
No, and then we moved there and it was even worse. You think it's bad for a summer? God. Yeah, I know too much about that place. Which I guess is fair for anyone living anywhere, but like when it's like 3 feet wide, it's you know, harder.
Yeah.
You know too much. Okay, so what is your mom's favorite movie? And is it Gettysburg?
Um, so I think I did talk about that. My brother loved the Gettysburg movie and watched it
Mhm.
over and over and over and over again endlessly. So I imagine she probably hates that movie because it was on so much.
Same.
Um,
Sorry to your brother.
but she doesn't have a favorite. She just talks about how
Okay, okay.
she never really can answer our favorite question
Mhm.
or favorite thing questions. But
Yeah.
she just loves stories that make her think, things that
Oh,
spark
I
good
like that.
discussions, but also kind of lighthearted, funny movies.
Very fun.
She specifies that she actually tried Googling favorite movies to see if something sparked her memory,
Aw.
but nothing did.
Wait, that's really smart, though. I should do that when people ask me. My mom, in a similar fashion, she listed 3 because she couldn't pick one. So which is typically what I do too. So the first one, also in French, so let's give it a shot. But
Big French
is
fan. Does your mom speak French?
my mom is very good at French, and hence the French spelling of my name.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that makes sense.
um, yeah. But anyway, also our car, the like navigation thingy is in French, which helps her keep up with her French and like practice
Oh
little
sure.
things. Confuses me, which is why I always use my phone's GPS.
That's actually smart if you want to keep up
Yeah,
with the language.
yeah. Um. Anyway, so she has I it's saying the grand illusion. I don't know if it's grande or like pronounced any other way in French. I
Hmm.
assume it's grande.
Sure.
The Grande Illusion, directed by Jean Renoir, the painter's son. And she says it is the best anti-war movie ever. Um,
Okay.
so that's cool. She also said It Happened One Night, which is a Frank Capra one. She likes it because it's a screwball comedy. That's actually the movie that made me realize that black and white movies weren't bad. Because I remember as a kid, I thought that like black and white movies had to suck because they were like, oh, come on, like they're so old, like they're so dumb, like come on. And then we watched that, and I was like, okay, so they can be pretty good. Um, yeah, It
So
Happened One Night
all,
is a fantastic movie.
huh? Yeah, from
Um,
1934.
mhm. Highly recommend it. It's really funny. It's got kind of a there was only one bed trope, but it's a there was only one hotel room trope because it's in the 30s, and a man
Sure.
and a woman could never sleep together. But yeah, so they like build a little like wall of like curtains between their beds, and then they get like kind of flirty, and they're like, well, what if we like took down the wall? Kind of, it's cute, it's fun, it's a good like romance movie, but also a comedy. Fun time.
Fun rabbit hole to fall into if you are
Yeah.
ever interested. Look into those old restrictions on movies. I think it was the Hayes Code for movies, and then there was another one for like comic books.
Okay.
Super interesting. The
Mhm.
levels that the industry and comic industry went to crack down on non-existent problems.
Right.
And
Fair
became
enough.
like super super strict about what could be in and what cannot. The comic ones in
Oh,
particular
interesting.
are wild. It's like the heroes can't ever lose, and there's like
Oh,
really weird things that can't be shown. Like you can't have like werewolves appear or something. But anyways,
fascinating.
very interesting about the history of that. Highly recommend.
Yeah. Fair. And then another one, she said 10 Things I Hate About You.
A
Because
classic.
it's a great movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also probably in my top three. That's a good one.
Yeah, I
Um,
think that's my girlfriend's one of her favorites.
it's so good.
It's
But
like
fair.
that, and then the proposal with Ryan Reynolds
Oh,
and
Sandra
Sandra
Bullock.
Bullock. Yeah,
Oh my god, that
those are
is a
like her
great
favorites.
movie.
Mhm.
That's one that I like constantly forget about and then rewatch, and I'm like, "Wow, how did I ever forget about this movie? It's so good."
It's
Like,
really good.
yeah. Um, alrighty. So then, in what ways are you and your kids the same and different?
So mom says that we all look alike, pretty much. Dark hair, brown eyes.
Mhm.
Um, generally, yeah, I think we all look the same.
Love
Um,
that.
but personality, we're all pretty different.
Mhm.
She talks about how I and mom like to talk about current issues facing our country,
Mhm.
um, and generally have the same political beliefs for the most part.
Yeah.
But then we love animals, traveling, history,
Oh,
cleaning,
fair.
and
Yeah.
having a clean living area, which
You
my
guys would
siblings do
both
not.
organize the shelves together.
We would. um, but mom and I are very different socially. So mom's very,
Oh,
very extroverted, loves throwing
gotcha.
parties, going out,
Uh-huh.
and I am not for the most part.
Which is
Um,
funny to me because you're very, very good with people, but I guess that doesn't necessarily mean you're not introverted. It just means that
yeah,
you're like good at talking to people.
I don't know because I've heard the various like definitions of extrovert and
Right.
introvert, and I don't really feel like I fit either because I don't think social situations drain me, which is
Okay.
kind of like the way people describe introverts. But I
Yeah.
wouldn't necessarily say I'm an extrovert because I don't want to like just start
It doesn't
talking to
excite
people
you either.
randomly. No, yeah, I've
Right.
heard like ambivert is
Mhm.
like a somewhere in the middle
Middle ground.
or both,
Yeah.
which probably makes more sense. I mean, I
Sure.
was an RA. I had to be an extrovert,
Right.
kind of a
Yeah.
requirement to
Mhm.
be somewhat extroverted and chat with people
Yeah,
randomly.
to at
So
least yeah, know how
mm.
to interact with your fellow human beings.
I definitely feel more extroverted or felt more extroverted in college.
Oh,
or in
fair.
undergrad.
Yeah.
Not
Mhm.
now, but COVID killed
Yeah.
that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Any chance anyone had of becoming an extrovert, gone.
Gone.
It's too easy to be an introvert now. But yeah, I love that though. Um, did you guys have any others? Or
She also talks about how she's more affectionate and touchy, while I am not. But
fair.
um,
Yeah.
other than that, nope. That's the
No, that's fair. This was one of the shorter ones from my mom. But she said that the same is that like we all like trying new things, being like food or music or like movies or stuff like that. And like we're all curious about learning random things, which is very true.
Mhm.
We're all very much like I went down a rabbit hole today kind of people. um and then the difference is that we're better at like recognizing bullshit and actually like calling people on it, which is true. My mother is the sweetest human being alive and like very very uh naive is not the right word because she's not naive. She's just like trusting, I guess,
Mhm.
in that she wants like people. She thinks like people are going to always put their best foot forward and be kind no matter what. And it's like, well, that's not true. Sometimes people are bad, um, and like not always. And that is like a thing where it's like I wish like I could also have some of her optimism. Um, but yeah, I do think I like distrust a lot more people than she will.
Mhm.
So that's a very apt description of the difference. But yeah, I don't know. Um,
What was your
it's
mom like?
really
Oh, go ahead.
oh, so sorry. She is also like uh really sweet in the sense of sometimes she'll like just barely stand up for herself in a situation. And then she'll be like, "You'd be so proud of me. I was a bitch today." And I'm like, "No, you weren't." she like just said like, "Excuse me" to someone, and she'll be like, "I was a bitch." And I'm like,
That's
no.
like the exact opposite from my mom. Like, my mom is very assertive and like very
Hmm.
much the person like, hey, I need you to
Yeah,
contact customer service and yell at them until they fix this problem. That's
right.
her. Of like, I'm gonna be on the phone with them. I'm going to get this fixed.
Yeah. I feel
I
like I'm
can't do
that
that
way
at all.
too, where it's like I'm not gonna like be mean or like yell at someone, but I am going to like get what like I expect for
Yeah,
something. Yeah, like I'm gonna stand up until it happens. But then yeah, my mom is very much like, I guess it's fine. Like I didn't really want this to be the way that things went, but it's okay. And I'm like, no, we're going for it. Yeah. Um, alrighty. But yeah, what were we like as teenagers? I guess your mom wouldn't know what I was like, and my mom wouldn't know what you were like. But
we actually had our moms speculate about what the other people were like as
that
teenagers.
would be funny.
um, my mom talks about she always thought I was much more mature than other kids my age, especially when I was a teenager.
Uh-huh.
Most because I was never interested in going out and drinking. I was very content with just
Yeah,
staying at home and chilling.
fair.
She specifies that says, "While I was worried about your social life, I was relieved that I did not have to worry about what you were doing or when you were coming home."
That
You're
is the
welcome,
fair
mom.
trade-off. Yeah. Um, she just like so this is true, and I don't think gotten into it on the podcast, and I don't think I will now either. But she's just said like my teen years were unconventional, in which yes they were. Um, but she said that I was angry, but also like um good at handling life, which I appreciate.
Mhm.
Um and then also creative and smart. Um which is cool. So I'll take it.
Yeah,
Um you know. Um I feel like I didn't fit into any of the movie tropes, which was always something that annoyed me as a teenager. Um I don't know if that's something you ever thought about.
that is not something I've ever thought about. I don't think I've ever compared my life to be like, oh man, I wish I fit this character trope in a high school sitcom.
But I feel like most of my friends did in one way or another, because I
Hmm.
was very much the person who like had like a few friends in every group. Like I didn't really like stick with one. Like I was still friends with all of them, but it would just be like, no, today I'm gonna hang out with like the theater kids. Today I'm gonna hang out with like the speech and debate kids. Today I'll hang out with sporty kids, kind of thing like that. But I didn't really like nail down any of those. Should have played sports, and then I could have been the sporty kid.
Yeah, I guess I feel like I was just kind of friendly with everybody. So
Yeah,
like I did sports, but I would never consider myself like a jock. Um,
I want to see you in a Leatherman jacket.
yeah, I don't think anyone would ever consider me a jock. People always are surprised that I played sports. It's like, no, I did all those on varsity. Started varsity soccer.
I was gonna say, like, I feel like it makes sense that you played soccer, because I feel like, at least in my high school experience, the soccer kids were always like sporty and something. Like it was never just like we're the jocks. Whereas some of the other sports were. I feel like soccer was always like, yeah, we play soccer and we like video games or something like that.
Yeah, I suppose there's more that like with football, it's like, and I play football, and I
Right.
think basketball is kind of similar, but
Where
yeah,
it's like, this is my personality.
soccer, and I did tennis
Yeah.
too. Like
Okay, fair.
both of
Yeah.
those are like, no, yeah, we do other things.
Right. Fair enough. Um, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I never fit into it, and I that is, if I could change one thing about my teenage experience, it would be I wanna be a trope.
All right then.
I don't actually know what trope I would wanna be because I
Like,
feel
that
like
was gonna
all
be my
of them are
follow up
kind of out
question.
of
Like, what trope? Cause yeah, exactly. I feel like the tropes are not something you want to aspire to be.
Here's the thing, I think the closest that I could have gotten would have been, like, manic pixie, like, angsty, artsy girl, right? But, like, I wasn't cool enough for that. Like I worked at a board game shop, you know? Like I wasn't like smoking behind the school, like being like some sort of angsty teen. Like I was just like, anyway, I gotta go to work now. So I don't know. um all right, what is one song or album that means a lot to our mothers and why?
My mom said "Imagine" by John Lennon.
Oh,
Um,
fun.
she also specifies that I sometimes think I should have been grown up in the '60s because I feel like I could have been a hippie.
My mom is a hippie. So fair. This is appropriately given that sentence the also longest answer on this from my mom. Um so uh she does like a thing where she has songs for um every like moment in her life.
Hmm.
Um and so like some of them were like when she was pregnant with her children, like ones that we first like kicked to.
Okay.
So mine was James Taylor, Gotta Stop Thinking About That, which is a bop, I will say. Um, uh, she, oh God, there's so many songs here, Mom. I love you so much. I'm not reading all of these. She has in here the Rolling Stones Can't Get No Satisfaction. That was my siblings' kick song. Um, uh, Take My Chances, Follow Your Arrow. That's a good one. Um, uh, Valentino, that's a great song. Your Song by Elton John, hell yeah. Sentimental Journey, great song. All of these are bops. There's so many of them.
Yeah, my mom just picked the one, but then she talks about the songs like "Message" and very
Oh my
profound,
god,
very
wait, talk
nice.
about the message.
Oh well, she just talks about song talks about a world where all people get along. Um,
Yeah.
no hate, violence, war. And she said, "It
Mhm.
saddens me to see all the hate and division in the world. I think there are more things that unite us than divide us, and I wish we could all live in peace."
Oh, I love that. Yeah. After the Parkland shootings, um I like, you know how schools did the like walkout thing?
Yeah.
so my school also did it, and it was like completely supported by the school and everything, which is cool.
Yeah.
But while we were out there, some of the uh like we had like an advanced choir thing where it was like there's like regular choir, then you can also take like an extra choir class if you're like
Advanced
really
choir.
like singing. Yeah.
Really want a challenge?
Yeah.
Join us in advanced choir.
Extreme choir. And the advanced choir sang Imagine, and it was really, really moving and really, really sweet, and it did make me cry. I'm also, I don't know if you can tell by the fact that I've said I've cried like 3 times in this episode already. I'm a crier, but I don't think that makes it have meant any less, you know? Like, I think it was still a moving moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, no, it's a very good song. Um, alrighty. What's the best motherhood advice our parents have ever received?
So
Or
my
mothers, specifically.
my mom talks about something my grandma told her, which
Oh, okay.
was that if moms do their job well enough, they put themselves out of a job. So parent correctly, then your child will grow up responsible, productive, and you won't need to be a parent anymore because you do your job so well.
I
Um,
love that
yeah,
so much.
very good.
Um, yeah. My mom had a few different quotes. She started it off by saying that she wouldn't say the like put your mask on first thing, which is something I always like tell her. Because my mom is a very like selfless person,
Mhm.
to sometimes an extreme. And I'm like, you need to care about yourself because if you don't care about yourself, like, how are you gonna care about other people, kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Um, and she hates it because like both I and others have always used the like airplane analogy of like you have to put your mask on before you put your children's mask on, kind of thing. And she hates that so much. So she's like, that is not the best parenting advice I've ever received. And I'm like, I think it is. I think it's a pretty good analogy. Anyway, so she said that the Miss Frizzle saying that like getting messy was good, which I love.
Yeah.
Um, she said that her favorite parenting goal was from the Book of Common Prayer, which is that she wanted us to grow up curious, strong, with perseverance, joy, laughter, and wonder in the world. She says that she changed that a little bit, which is fair. But like I think that's not an exact quote. I think that's
Right.
her
Right.
interpretation of the quote.
Sure.
But yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty good as well.
Um, yeah. Uh, okay, yeah. We don't have that many left. The most important question of all when making pasta, do you cook the whole box at once or just as much as you're going to eat?
Very
Um,
unfortunately, my mom has chosen the incorrect side and said just as much as she'll eat because leftover plain pasta is not very tasty.
She gets it. She understands it. My mom said if you're doing a recipe whole box, but if it's just for a serving or two, portion it out, which I think is totally fair. Um,
I
um,
disagree for all the reasons that have been exhaustingly stated before.
uh, I love that our moms are on the right side of history. What's something in life that they're really proud of?
Mom says us, her kids.
My mom said the same thing.
A
And then
classic mom
also,
response.
yeah, she also said getting her degree and like being in a library and stuff.
Mm.
So that's classic, good stuff. What is one of your mom's earliest memories?
She says riding on the back of my grandma's bike in one of those child bike seats,
That's
and
so
eating
fun.
marshmallows.
Oh, a blast.
So she also
Very
says
cool.
that those bike seats are probably outlawed now for being too dangerous. And it did come to mind that I don't know if I've seen them.
I feel like I've seen them in like old timey things.
Yeah. So I wonder if they're
Not
just not
that
as
old timey,
popular
but you know what
anymore.
I mean. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure
Um,
they exist. How else are you going to get your kids around? But I feel like people have those little carrier things in the back.
yeah.
Children living in luxury back there.
Okay. My mom's was playing Goldilocks and like running away from home. Like I think it was probably some sort of like I'm gonna go away and pack up my little like over the shoulder thing.
You get your little rucksack and you're
Yeah.
gone.
And it just has stuffed animals in it. It's not actually like any sort of food. But she says she just hid in the house next door, like with her neighbors.
Mhm.
So she didn't get very far. Okay. How did your mom choose your name?
um, so she said, out of many considerations, um, she talked about I was born very, very early and I was very, very sickly.
Hmm.
Um, so they decided that Adam was a strong, simple name that just seemed right.
I like that. Um, Mine was like there was a French queen, Margot. And then also something about Hemingway. She just says and Hemingway. I don't I guess something to do with Hemingway.
Hey,
Margot is a thing. I don't know. But there was also um uh she also considered Amanda, which thank God I wasn't
mm,
like I'm
a
not an Amanda.
downgrade from
I
Margot for
like
sure.
I know Amandas, and I think they're like that's an Amanda. I don't think I've ever looked or acted like an Amanda.
No, I would not
Yeah.
associate you with the name Amanda.
Yeah. So I'm glad I got Margot. I also feel
My,
like Mandy would have happened. Like that would have been a nickname, and
oh,
I would
that's
have
so much
hated that.
worse.
Yeah.
I
Um,
think Amanda, like, yeah, we know an Amanda fits
yeah.
her very well.
It's perfect for her.
Um,
Yeah.
I would not say Amanda would fit you very well, but
No.
it's a fine name. But
Yeah, it's a good name.
Mandy,
Yeah, Mandy is
mm,
awful. I hope Amanda doesn't go by me.
no,
I doubt it. She's
I
not a
don't believe
Mandy.
so.
But anyway, yeah, so then we had ones that were topical months ago, but
Oh, real fast.
yeah.
My almost name was Jackson,
Okay.
which I don't think is horrible.
It's not, and it could fit you, but I feel like it would have to be Jackson. Like I don't
Yes,
think
exactly.
yeah.
I don't like Jack,
Yeah.
but
Or son.
Jackson. So, anyways,
Oh my god. Yeah, so what's a lesson that your mom taught you in life? Um, Instead of what we're in on our parades. Okay, think about a time. I change it. I changed the question. Think
okay.
about a time in life where something was raining on your parade. Perhaps seventh grade in the angsty, moody years of Adam.
Considering I don't even remember any of that, I I'm not sure, but I do have an answer to your first question
Oh, okay.
of
All right. Scrap my
what
second question then.
of what is some good advice, which
Yeah.
is anything worth doing is worth doing right.
Yeah.
Kind of classic, but that
Yeah.
should just generally try to instill this value of like quality work and effort. And if you're going to do something, don't just throw together a bad product for no reason, but really uh, try. And at
Yeah.
the same time, if something's not worth doing, then don't do it.
Right. Oh, that's fair. I like that. I feel like my mom has like definitely um put the value of like education in my mind. I feel like, growing up in the South, being a woman, it was never like uh societally pressured. It was much more like, hey, find a husband. It wasn't really like, hey, go to college. And so I appreciate a lot that I like have a mom who did push that and did say like, hey, like you should care about learning. Like learning is fun. Um and I also like um going back to the angsty angry teen years, uh she definitely taught me how to um like care about others loudly, I guess. Like not like I feel like she's a lot of the reason that I'll like say outwardly like when I care about people or like go out of my way to like say like, hey, this thing reminded me of you kind of thing. Like I feel like a lot of like the I care about this person. I want to like not hide that comes from her, which I like.
Yeah, it's good.
Good stuff. Moms are cool.
Yeah.
Shout out to the moms out there, but especially ours.
Thank you very much for all that you do.
Yeah.
We are very appreciative of you in our special mom appreciation episode.
Yeah.
Not Mother's Day because it's not Mother's Day.
No, but it's Rainy Tuesday's Mother's Day. And shout out to them.
But
so
thank you very much. We love you a lot.
Absolutely. So thanks for being our moms. If you're out there listening to this,
And
hug your mom.
Yeah.
If you like her.
Hug your mom.
If you
your
have
mom's a
family
good
strife.
person.
Yeah. I don't want to force family on anyone. We're lucky to have cool moms. And if you don't have a cool mom, hug your mother figure. I'm sure you have one.
Hug your mom friend.
Yeah. Ooh, that's a good thing. Everyone's got a mom friend.
And if you're the mom friend, give yourself a good hug, because self-love is important as well.
Go in front of a mirror, do a little finger gun, and say, like, cool moms.
With a wink.
With a wink.
The wink's important.
Gives you advantage. Anyway, have a sunny Wednesday.
Bye.
Bye.